got the hashtag right out with the hashtag SUASXSW. So I can read your Twitter feed here and be able to form those in questions. We also have mics set up around here for your questions as well. You know, when President Obama gave his State of the Union address, the big thing was winning the future. We spent a lot of time working on that. And when you look at the folks here and around the country, you guys are the architects of that future. You're going to build the future that change the world. And all we want to do is figure out how to make it a little bit easier. So with that, let me kick it off to Scott Gates, who's CEO of Startup America Partnership, talk a little bit about that. We'll go down the panel, start tweeting your questions. I'll be able to look from here, and we're going to go over a very interactive Q&A. Thank you for being here, everyone. Scott?
Thanks. Can y'all hear me, maybe?
No.
I think I was a technology guy. I'd be able to figure this out. Okay. How about now?
Nope.
Bueller? Anyone?
Yes.
That just dated me. All right. So how many entrepreneurs are in the room?
Excellent.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. And how many of you are starting a brand new firm that's less than a year old right now?
Oh, wow.
And how many of you are terrified? Okay, good. We have some honest people in the room here. That's good. Well, I'll tell a little bit of my story. I was terrified too. College student at the University of Connecticut. I was happy to take one of their games in the East. I had a choice to make as a student. I had started a little company with one of our university staff, who was a professor there, and I had a choice. I had been offered a cool job that allowed me to travel the globe and make a whole bunch of money, or join a crazy startup where the odds of making a paycheck next week were pretty low. I chose the latter, much to the advice of my now wife, who said, pursue something that's going to be amazing and going to build something. And I think as entrepreneurs, we're always faced with that, right on the edge of terror at any given time. And that's part of what being an entrepreneur is all about. Later in my career, I started a company called Priceline.com, where I was one of the founders and was then Chief Technology Officer. And in that experience, I'll share one thing briefly. As Chief Technology Officer, and in the era of way before cloud computing, and probably way before even formal server farms, we had to buy a lot of servers for what we were about to do. And no one would give us credit at all. And I was about to buy $10 million worth of equipment. Turns out buying $10 million of equipment on your American Express card is not a good idea. But I did buy $100,000 worth of equipment on credit cards. But we had one company, and I remember it well. Give a shout out to CDW, gave us $5,000 in credit. $5,000. I recall that credit daily, literally daily, for about 60 or 90 days, and ultimately they became the largest supplier of Priceline. So I use that as an anecdote. One of the opportunities for the Startup America Partnership is to bring big companies who can often take risks with smaller companies, and those smaller companies can turn into massive customers. I don't know if CDW is still a main supplier for Priceline, but I know I was the CTO. We were wearing anything else because they were the ones who took the risk with us in the beginning. And then finally, I started a nonprofit organization I helped grow one called Malaria No More, where we focus on big challenges in ending malaria deaths in Africa by 2015. I share all of this with you because I know what it's like to start a company. I know what it's like, not even to tell you the littered companies that fail along the way, because I learned all the lessons I need to learn there, and I'll share those with you, but not the particular details of the failure. That wasn't very much fun. But that's what startups are all about. And for me, as an entrepreneur, what greater opportunity do we have in the United States than to celebrate entrepreneurship? And so one of the big goals of the Startup America Partnership is to recognize that America has always been a startup-friendly country. We were founded on the principles that make startups really, really the driver of the American economy. And what we need to do is to celebrate and honor and use the many entrepreneurs, all you raise your hands, that are starting amazing companies as the inspiration for the next generation, to break down the barriers that cause people to maybe be skittish about joining startups, but to rather celebrate that and make this to be joining a startup to be the cool thing to do, the thing that your parents actually ask you about, and whether you're going to go start a startup as opposed to go to grad school or get a job at a big co, but instead actually go take a risk. And so one big piece of Startup America Partnership is that. The other major part of Startup America Partnership is about bringing partners to the table to help entrepreneurs be more successful. And ultimately, we want to try to raise the whole ecosystem of the United States to make this, to take the ecosystem of entrepreneurship here to the whole next level, and to put us on a competitive rank with the rest of That different tone of how serious we're taking this, and we're really getting ground running. So I'm very excited to be here and thrilled to be here with our partner, which the White House administration is really our biggest partner. So thank you all for having me, and I'll pass it along.
Thank you very much, Scott. My name is Anish Chopra, and I serve as President's Chief Technology Officer. A brief word before I get into my remarks to echo the comments from Scott made about the relationship between larger firms and entrepreneurial firms. Prior to my tenure in public service, I had the honor and privilege of serving for 10 years at a firm called the Advisory Board Company in healthcare. And on my journey in the Advisory Board, I served our chairman of the board by looking for startups through his program called Advisory Board Ventures. Today, the company has gone public in large part because of the fact that it was able to collaborate with entrepreneurs and to incorporate innovative new technologies into our traditional customer base. So it's, that notion of big go to do co has been something I've experienced personally and very excited about seeing more of at Startup America. Part of what I do for the president, when he asked to create the role of Chief Technology Officer, it's a role that is relatively new to Washington. His basic theory of change has always been that the country will move forward by harnessing technology, data, innovation from the bottom up, more so than the top down. And that while we have a number of programs and people that come to Washington and they influence Washington in the ways that they do, there are lobbyists and others that come in, the president wanted a voice that could reach out. His view is that we have this country of dispersed knowledge and talent, people all over the country with that capability that don't have lobbyists and voices in Washington to stand in line to make their points, but that because of today's technology ecosystem, we can reach out to people in new and creative ways. And it's that philosophy of bottom-up change that is at the heart of what the president calls a strategy for American innovation. Won't give you the full story of the strategy, but I would encourage you to visit whitehouse.gov/innovation. And you'll have a lovely little 75-page document to review that outlines our underlying philosophy for long-term economic growth. It begins with investments the government is traditionally make in the building blocks of innovation, research and development, infrastructure, be it physical and digital, human capital, making sure that we have individuals trained in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. But it's also about creating the right market conditions to spur entrepreneurship and innovation. And that is a key component of the strategy. And what the president has asked us to do with Startup America is to basically increase the shots on goal, increase the rate at which people start new businesses, and to increase the conversion rate or the success rate for those startups to become high-growth firms. And we see the ability to do this in two parts. There are problems and challenges we have in Washington that we need to wipe away. A colleague of mine talked a bit about our process to do that, clearing out the underbrush, or however we want to describe that. There's opportunities in policy where we can actually create better market conditions by harnessing the power of data and technology writ large. So we can open up new growth markets in healthcare, energy, and education. My colleague in Israel will say a word about that. But it's also about catalyzing this nationwide campaign. People often forget that while Washington typically traffics in lawmaking or budget, the most important thing that Washington does is convene. And what our president has called on our country to do is to convene around the notion of entrepreneurship and innovation as a strong value. It's the bedrock of our economic story. And that's why he's so proud that people like Scott Case have taken it upon themselves to leave their daily lives and come into this and make this their mission and their goal. And by encouraging public, private, academic, nonprofit, and every other stakeholder around the ecosystem to come together on their terms. Scott will tell you in this Q&A session, he doesn't need permission. He's going to execute. And we're going to say hallelujah and not less. And whatever we can do to get barriers out of the way, and barriers to help you, we'll do that. And that is the part of this, the overall strategy for American innovation and how it fits in this notion of Startup America. To dig a bit deeper on the two components of government, I want to start with handing my colleague Sean Green is going to say a word about how we're going to try to clear out that underbrush and talk about reducing barriers. So please join me in welcoming Sean Green. Yeah, give us some love.
Real quick, again, as I said, I've been an entrepreneur
radically different entrepreneurial approach to how government